When I started this channel, I didn't know I'd be talking so much about the side of MMA that's not just the kicks and the punches, as Chael Sonnen would say. But it does really make up like a massive amount of the sport, doesn't it? I feel like, say, 50-50 would be a good balance, but when we talk about gimmick fights like Jon Jones versus Stipe or Colby versus Leon, and yeah, I just called Jon Jones versus Stipe a gimmick fight. Like, I really mean that. If you want to know why, click on the channel, go to videos, scroll down and watch the video just below this one, and you'll see why I mean what I mean when I said that that is just a gimmick fight, yeah? So when we talk about the gimmick side of the sport, the side of the sport that's just the pay-per-view point title fight contender, who gets co-main or main at the apex, a lot of that right now, nowadays in MMA or UFC MMA, we are talking about who can put on the biggest show for the crowd, who has got the most fans on X or Instagram. That does seem to be the way the tide is turning, as we've talked about heaps on this channel. And if you don't believe me, then, you know, why didn't Aljo get his rematch against Sterling? It's the question of why isn't Tom next for Jon Jones? Why was Edwards versus Colby booked? Why is Leon Edwards booked for UFC 300, but the UFC can't seem to remember the other guy's name who should be fighting Leon Edwards? Because all of the fights or the other potential fighters of that didn't have the amount of internet clout that is needed to make those matchups and put them on a UFC pay-per-view, and that's the game. It's not a bad game. I don't mind it. It brings a lot of fun and a lot of flavor to the UFC, and it's only a really bad thing, and I hate it when it just goes too far, like the Jon Jones, Stipe, Tom Aspinall love triangle. But when it's something like Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya dance, that little love triangle that those three have got going on, that is really fun to watch, and that makes the UFC far more than just the PFL as standard competition. And the fighters, some of the fighters get it. They get the game that they're in. They get what they're playing at. They understand that more people are watching the UFC than any other organization because of the level of entertainment that the UFC brings. It makes itself easier for a much wider audience to consume than, say, just the regular standard tournament system of the PFL. And the fighters that get that, they do really, really well. Look, when Colby Covington was going to get cut, now he pretty much only main events. You know, now that might have changed because of his last fight, but Colby Covington realized that he was going to get cut and then created that chaos character, and it served him really well throughout the latter part of his career. Look at Henry Cejudo when he switched and became Triple C. Look how much more entertaining Israel Adesanya got when he became that odd weeaboo kid. Some fans love it, some fans hate it, but it creates this character that a lot of fans can get behind. It just makes it easier for the UFC marketing team. Now, Merab Devashvilli is learning that too, and it might be working, yeah? Like, just look at Merab's last few tweets. Like, this trend started with him teaching Henry Cejudo the right way to say his name, which he did as like a comical university teacher, and that was something different that we'd seen from Merab. And then he went on a roll with it. He does this absolutely gold one of him being the machine, like waking up in the morning, going, drinking petrol, going and grabbing women off the street. Check it out. And then on top of that, he's dropped this new one of how your girl expects you to always answer the phone video.
Hey baby, what do you need? Hey baby. Hey baby. Hey baby.
Merab, what took you so long to answer?
And it's working. It seems to be working. For the tide is turning on Merab down in the comments section. For the longest time, he has just been known for being Aljo's sissy, the dog at the end of Aljo's leash. The guy sitting on the chair at the end of the bedroom while Aljo goes to work on Merab's wife. That's sort of been his entire look, his entire fan perception so far. And when you pair that sort of idea that the fans have of you with him playing hardball with the UFC when Aljo was champ and those two not wanting to go at each other for a title shot, it means the fans didn't like him. It means the UFC didn't like him. And look what's happened. He was the #1 contender clearly, and he got overlooked by the UFC for a far more marketable fight. But now that he's doing this, it seems to be working. In the comment section, there is a massive positive response to what Merab is doing. And I'm sorry to say this, but that matters a lot. Like, I hate that that is part of the game, but it does matter a lot. It gives the UFC marketing team something to look at. Now, personally, it's not making me a Merab fan. Like, no. He screwed Jose Aljo's retirement fight up. He spam grappled Piotr Jan. I love those two fighters. I'll never forgive him for that. And his fight style, I just find horrific. It's so boring. It's just that wet blanket wrestling. I hate watching that kind of fight style. So just on a personal level, I'm never going to forgive you for what you did to Piotr Jan. I'm never going to forgive you for what you did to Jose Aldo. And I hate watching you fight. It sucks. But there's this new character emerging of Merab on Twitter. And it is refreshing and it is something different. And it's not just this character of the guy on the end of Aljamain Sterling's leash. And it's going to help him a lot. The UFC marketing team are going to see that. It's going to help him quite a bit. It's going to start to get him some fans. You can already start to see it in the comments section. People are talking about Merab is starting to win me over here, and that is exactly what he needs. He is almost out cringing Henry Cejudo. He's already beating Cejudo at Cejudo's own game, and Merab now gets it that they're not only fighting in the cage, but they are also fighting on the internet as well for clout, which is important to the UFC if you want to get that title shot. And good luck to them. They were funny videos, and they do make consuming the MMA news throughout the week far more enjoyable when more fighters go ahead and do that. It's very Paulo Costa-esque, except in video form. So I like to see it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, because this channel is a two-way stream, and I want to know, is Merab starting to turn you as a fan, or have you always been a fan of Merab? You don't really care how he fights and how he presents himself. You care about the general competition of the sport, and as long as he's winning, that is enough for you. You just want to see dominant fighters in the UFC. Maybe that is the case. So let me know that down there in the comments, just like Scott Swift did on the Is Aljamain Sterling finally getting his karma back video. Scott said, it's not Aljo's fault that we have shit rules in the UFC and he got illegally kneed hard. Yeah, he played it up, but it was still a hard, illegal shot. Scott, you are 100% right. It's not Aljo's fault. Aljo went ahead and played the rules to his advantage to try and get himself that win. And then he went ahead and played the rules to his advantage as well to get himself the win over Henry Cejudo. Doesn't mean I have to like it, Scotty. Doesn't mean I have to like it. It was just a horrible way to win fights. It was a horrible way to defend yourself as a champion. Yeah, it's not his fault, but it's just a bad look. Like, I can't cheer for him and be a fan for him. But then again, having said that, the more that he was in front of the camera as the champion, the more that I ended up starting to like the guy. It's such a I'm very interested to see how I actually feel when Aljo walks into the cage against Calvin Kattar. I don't know if I'm going to be cheering for him, cheering against him. It's going to be a really weird experience. I kind of hope he gets the win. Like, I am not done to see his career over. So I think I'm going to be rooting for Aljo, which is strange because I always rooted against him, but that's the game. That's why we watch this sport, because our opinions are always changing with every single fight. At least mine are. I get to learn and see more from a fighter. That's what makes it so fun. And then they have to go back in there and maybe they'll get their head kicked in like Paul Volkanovski did. Scotty, thanks for leaving that comment down there. Let me know your thoughts on Merab. Is he starting to win you over as a fan? Is this what he needs to do to get himself really into that title picture? It's sad that this is what it has to come to in the UFC, but it is what it is sometimes. And is it working for you? Let me know down there in the comments. If you're still at this part of the video, that means I've entertained you in some way or given you something to think about. So if you could say thank you by going ahead and hitting that subscribe button down there, it means so much to small creators like myself. Every single one is important, so I appreciate them all. And of course, I'll see you all in the next video.